A few moments later.
Assalamualaikum everyone.
So hi and Assalamualaikum everyone. So my name is Nur Erin Eliasha binti Muhammad Zamri. We're from DBM, SEM 3.
So my name is Nurul Fauzan Izana binti Nurdin.
And last but not least, of course, my name. My name is Hidayatul Iman, and today we would like to talk about public finance on Chapter 5.
Revenue. A government revenue can obtain revenue from many sources from the viewpoint of households and firms. Three are two major ways in which a government can obtain revenue. The major portion of the revenue is from tax. We will discuss the ways in which a government collects revenue.
So, Fauzani, can you tell me what the source of revenue?
Source of revenue had three. First, tax revenue. Tax revenue is compulsory contribution by an individual or a firm to the government to be used in the common interest of all, so that the government can provide the necessary administrative service to govern the country.
So, what's the example of tax revenue?
Example of tax revenue: income tax, companies income tax, petroleum income tax.
Okay, thank you, Fauzani.
Second, we have non-tax revenue. Non-tax revenue are revenue which is arise from other source beside tax. Non-tax revenue includes revenue from license and permit, petroleum royalty, interest and return on invest, fees and penalties. Third, non-revenue receipt. Non-revenue receipt includes refund or expenditure and receipt from government agency.
Iman, can you explain more about government revenue?
Yes, Erin, of course. Government revenue divided by three, which is tax revenue, non-tax revenue, and non-revenue receipts. So, I will explain about tax revenue first. Tax revenue also divided by two, which is direct tax and indirect tax. Examples for direct tax is individual direct tax, companies direct tax, and petroleum direct tax. About the indirect tax, imported duties, export tax, sales tax, and service tax. Number two was non-tax revenue. We have license and permits, petroleum royalty, interest and return on investment, also with fees and penalties. But last but not least, non-revenue receipt. We have contribution from foreigners, governments, and international agencies. So I have been learned about government expenditures has been divided by two, which is government operating expenditure and government development expenditure. Can you explain it to us?
Yes, of course. First is government operating expenditure. Operating expenditure is the government expenditure allocated to cover the expenses of operating and administering government departments. Operating expenditure consists of emoluments, pensions and gratuities, debts, service charges, and more. So for the development expenditure, is government expenditure for investment proposed to improve facilities in the basic physically infrastructure. Government development expenditure is focused on development projects that can boost economic growth. Development expenditure consists of the following, that we have four types, which is number one is defense and security. Number two is economic service, which is comprise agriculture and rural development, trade and industry, transport, public utilities, and the other service. But it was including communication, feasibility studies, and mineral resource. For the third one is social service. It was comprises comprise education, health, housing, and social and community service. And the last one is general administration, was Department of Service, was JPA, Inland Revenue Department, Royal Custom and Excise, Department of Statistics, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Iman, can you explain to us about type of tax?
Yes, I can. So, for types of taxes, we have two. It's been divided. One was direct tax and another one was indirect tax. So, the direct tax was paid by the person on whom is levied and cannot be paid on to another person. Income tax is an example of direct tax. So, number two was indirect tax, which is a tax in which the burden of tax can be passed on to another person. Sales tax is an example of indirect tax.
And how about type of tax structure?
Okay, so for types of tax structure, we have three. One was proportional tax, number two was progressive tax, and last but not least, the regressive tax. For proportional tax, is a tax which is imposed at the same rate for all income level. So basically, for proportional tax, the graph will be like this. The straight line was the proportional tax. Number two was progressive tax, is a tax rate which goes on increasing with income levels. So the graph will be increasing with the income like this.
Right.
Yes.
Also right.
Last but not least was regressive tax. A regressive tax is a tax rate which falls with an increasing in income. So the graph will be increases.
Increases like to
Go
the left.
Go to the left. For the increasing, it will be up to the right. For the decreasing, it will be down to the left.
So, for Zari, what is type of budget?
We had three types of budget. First, we had balanced budget. Second, surplus budget. And third, deficit budget. Balanced budget, which is occurs when the government's total expenditure is equal to its total revenue. For surplus budget, occurs when the government's total revenue is more than total expenditure. Deficit budget occurs when the government's total expenditure is more than its total revenue.
So, Iman, can you explain more to me about the fiscal policy?
Yes, of course I can. So basically, fiscal policy refers to the use of government action and expenditure to influence the country's spending, employment, and price level. In other words, a fiscal policy refers to the regulation of the level of the government spending, taxation, and public debt. Government expenditures, tax income, and public debt are the important factors that influence the aggregate output, employment, and price in the economy. So, Fazani, how about the objective of fiscal policy?
Objective of fiscal policy is we had four. First, we are securing efficient allocation of economic resources. Second, attaining and maintaining full employment. Third, accelerating the rate of economic growth. Fourth, controlling the equitable distribution of income and wealth. Erin, do you know type of fiscal policy?
Of course. So, for the type of fiscal policy, we have two. The first one is expansionary fiscal policy. It was adopted to overcome employment or recession problem. In recession, the economy suffers from rising employment, falling income, the shrinking economic activity. The government will increase public spending by undertaking public works programs and reduce tax. The effect of the cut will increase the amount of disposable income of individual and business firms. So for the second one is constructionary fiscal policy. It was adopted to overcome inflationary problems. During inflation, the appropriate fiscal policy is to create a budget surplus in order to reduce aggregate spending. The instrument used in contractionary fiscal policy are the increasing of tax, the reduction of government spending. So, Iman, can you explain more about instruments of fiscal policy in directionary fiscal policy?
Of course we can. So the government will employ the discretionary fiscal policy when it encounters unemployment or inflationary problems. Discretionary fiscal policies refers to change in government expenditure and taxes to control unemployment or inflation. So it was divided by two. Government expenditure is as discussed. There are two types of government expenditures, which is operating expenditures and development expenditures. The government will increase the expenditures to control unemployment during recessions. During inflation, the government will reduce the expenditures. So for the tax, the government can increase or decrease the tax rate depending on the circumstance. To control the unemployment problem, the government will cut the tax to increase disposable income and increase tax during the inflation. So for the instruments of fiscal policy, we have two basically, and I have been described about this sectionary fiscal policy. How about the next one? It was automatic fiscal policy, Fauzani.
Automatic fiscal policy or automatic stabilization refer to change in government expenditure and tax which is occur automatically without any government action. The automatic stabilization would automatically increase a great expenditure during a recession and decrease a great expenditure when the economy expands. There are two important stabilizers, transfer payment and personal income. For transfer payment, the payment of money by a government to individual for which the payer receive no goods or service direct in return. However, when the economy expands, the government will provide transfer payment. For tax, during recession, many people lose their jobs and some of them are entitled to transfer payment. The government provide more transfer payment during such period. Some employed people may realize lower tax payment or enjoy the tax refund during recession.
That's all from us. Thank you.
Bye bye.